Movies usually show circumstances that we can't witness in real life and don't want to. Airplane collisions may be a prime example of that. And we all know what to expect from an aircraft accident in a movie. It needs to be dramatic, suspenseful, and realistic enough not to look laughable. There are plenty of movies about plane accidents, but here, we're gonna introduce you to the 10 plane crashes in movies, and in our view, we're picking the best one. But you need to subscribe to our channel before that, so that you don't skip or miss our awesome content. Number 10. Fearless. The probability of an unsuccessful flight has been imagined by anyone who has flown. Even now, with its portrait of the last minute of a flight and its consequence, Fearless is eerily compelling. And there is an aftermath. Not everyone is killed, and one of the survivors was the man who is so serene. Max Klein was one of the survivors in the movie. He is a hero, helping save other lives during and after the accident. As the aircraft loses hydraulic pressure and slides through the sky, some travelers are crying, while others are praying, others are holding hands and sharing love words. Apart from the crowd, Max emerges serenely. He marches up the aisle to a little boy walking by himself, attempting to console him. Max believes that his life is coming to an end, but with that fact, he is at ease, and surprisingly, he survived the crash. After the crash, he walks out of the plane and checks into a hotel. He is in a sense walking away from his whole life. But it's not that easy. The FBI finds him and then returns him home to his wife. Because of the emotional effects he received from the accident, the airline provides him with a therapist. That incident must have affected him negatively. We're already giving you a surprise accident in the first list. Imagine what you'll find in the end. Number 9. Knowing. The tragic plane crash is the most believable of the clips we've seen. That's what's expected to happen. The graphics are very well done. Today, as we look at the ruins, we have disrupted the word we used to use. It's torn up really poorly. He keeps coming across passengers like this guy on fire when he runs in. I don't think anyone is supposed to survive the effects. I note that there's already an engine running down. Well, yeah, maybe, but I suppose the engine will be a sort of battered and jammed by the impact, said a movie expert. What's more frightening is that all the people who got into the fire was genuine. So Nicolas Cage made sure that he rehearsed the scene all day to reduce errors. So his biggest objective is to get the end of the shot in one moment, so the people who really got into the fire does not restart from the beginning and get injured. Number 8. Flight. Not a great deal of this Oscar-nominated thriller takes place on an aircraft. Although the aspect that does be, oh god, it's really frightening, Whip. Played by Denzel Washington, an alcoholic airline pilot who has to respond quickly when his plane crashes mid-flight. The remainder of the flight deals with dangerous crash landing outcomes, which reveals his addiction and inspires some intense soul-searching. Nevertheless, the opening aerial sequence of the movie may be the most terrifying ever filmed in a film industry. Flight was mocked by real-life pilots as impractical on various occasions, but director Robert Zemeckis and his team of technological wizards leave you with enough force to clutch the armrest that you don't have time to debate about information on the movie. Number 7. Sully. In this biopic of celebrated airline pilot Chesley Sullenberger, there are 2 films going on separately. In one, for his treatment of a 2009 emergency landing in the Hudson River, Sully, played by Tom Hanks, is under investigation, which results in all of his passengers walking out alive. And it's actually a real story of a pilot who saved 155 lives when he landed a damaged commercial airliner in the Hudson River in New York 2009, and who actually saved everyone from a plane crash. The director of the movie is subjected to a harrowing recreation of Sully's courageous handling of the notorious US Airways flight in the Other Better movie, in which both engines were knocked out and some doom seemed guaranteed. Director Clint Eastwood would not allow you to relax for a second, and the realistic portrayal of Sully makes the build-up to the crash much more scarier. You'll be much more impressed with Sully's relaxed commander under intense pressure after seeing this movie. Number 6. Dark Knight Rises. A cinematic masterpiece directed by Bravo Nolan in 2012 is the plane scene. It outlines the interactions of characters such as the CIA, Bane, Mascara, and Dr. Pavel. During Operation 98H1 of the agency, the runtime of the film is split between a section in Uzbekistan on the ground and a section in the air on board the Wreckage Brother. The scene was filmed in Scotland, where a real plane was literally released from the sky by the crew. Although it was projected 5-day shoot, in just 2, the crew was able to get it completed. Christopher Nolan had to seek permission to lower the plane in order to film the scene. It was kind of an incredible assembly of lots and lots of preparation by a lot of team members who worked for months rehearsing all these parachute jumps, Nolan said. Nolan is tied to another film by being a director for Tenet, and his masterpiece has blown people's mind. Number 5. Flight of the Phoenix. Flight of the Phoenix is so deceptive that the unwanted jolts of dopamine that's generated make you sound like a fool, a moth-eaten stranded in the desert story that puts in every cheap trick in the manual to pump in your pulse. Watching it is the equivalent to being tickled by the soles of your feet. You may laugh, but it's not funny. With no major surprises, this film is a reasonably straightforward reboot of the 1965 adventure classic, but it employs special effects to create scenes unfamiliar to the previous film, including sensational sandstorms, a lengthy crash sequence, and a persuasive takeoff. A life would have been spared if the effects had been available in 1965. The older movie used a live aircraft flown by famous stunt pilot Paul Mans, who crashed and was killed. The 1965 movie was shadowed by the awareness of the actual case, giving it an unsettling reality. Number 4. United 93. Since the 9/11 terror attacks, plane travel has never been the same, and this intense, startling portrayal of the tragic day commemorates the tragedy and heroism that transpired in the face of unimaginable circumstances. Director Paul Greengrass was best known for the Bourne Supremacy before United 93, and he incorporated the jittery, handheld vitality of that film for a detailed drama that tells you how the United 93 passengers fought back against the terrorists who hijacked their aircraft, preventing them from carrying out their plans by flooding the cockpit. In real life, as the events quieted and the extent of the destruction fell into relief, it became apparent with the tragic crash of the United Airlines Flight 93, there was at least one part of the Al-Qaeda terrorist attack where the damage had been mitigated. In the movie, the FAA attempts to find out what just happened and how to respond to the attack. Cutting back and forth between the planes and the ground, United 93 is difficult to watch, but in an extraordinary, insightful, and an emotional portrayal of an horrific moment in American history. Number 3. Aviator. We were attempting to keep military aircraft out of this list and instead concentrate on the commercial side of aviation. But there's no denial that Howard Hughes demolishing a row of Beverly Hills houses on his prototype maiden flight is too spectacular not to have at least one cinematic crash of a military aircraft. This is based on a true story that happened on July 7, 1946 in Beverly Hills. When a young Marine was on vacation, Sergeant William Lloyd Durkin was relaxing next door to an uninhabited home at 806 Whittier Street. Suddenly, the house before Durkin's eyes was shattered by an ear-shattering accident. Durkin, who knew planes, thought that the plane was a P-38 Lightning. Currently, it was the XF-11 of the Army Air Force, built for reconnaissance duty by Hughes. A propeller loss caused the accident. However, Martin Scorsese's masterful directing on the movie makes the scene suspenseful, haunting, and mindful of the true case on which this is based. Number 2. Castaway. Discussed the influence of great acting as Federal Express boss who is stuck on an island after his freight plane crashes. Tom Hanks deserves the Oscar for this powerful performance. It was a wonderful movie, but Hanks was so good that he made you think that the volleyball was alive. Hanks received the Screen Actors Association, the Golden Globes, and the British Academy's Lead Actor Award. Tom Hanks, operating as Chuck, is informed after being saved that the cause of the accident was probably linked to a dangerous material on board the aircraft. In extreme turbulence, the pilots are lost and off course attempting to avert an hurricane. Many freights move and the cabin is explosively decompressed. Finally, we reach the number 1 spot. Another airplane movie directed by Christopher Nolan, which is Tenet. Number 1. Tenet. American actor David Washington said that at the end of the newly released trailer of Tenet, the plane crash glimpsed was taken for real. The science fiction spy film, which is also directed by Christopher Nolan, continues the commitment of the director to filming on film and recording camera movement rather than optical effects. Washington said, speaking to Cinema Blend, that the crew applauded when Nolan caught the shot. That was a real plane and it was a real building that the plane was crashing into, he said. And we, the cast and the crew, observed all this. This has been epic. It was awesome. We all applauded and hurrayed and hurrahed when Chris felt like he had it when they yelled break. What you've seen is what actually happened, at least the night that I was there, Nolan said. There are certainly more movies out there about aircraft accidents, but we always choose the best ones for you. What are you waiting for if you haven't clicked on the recommended videos on the screen? See you in the next one.